Hi everyone, I'm Craig from K3 Starcom, and on today's episode of Ask the Expert, we're going to be talking to you about disaster recovery. In a scenario where something were to happen to your business and you lost everything as a result, your PCs, your servers, your entire office space, what would you do? A disaster recovery plan is a process that outlines how you recover your critical business applications and bounce back from a disaster. Disaster recovery should form part of your wider business continuity plan and take into consideration things like reputation management and incident responses. So what kind of disasters are we talking about here? It could be something as natural as the weather. Storms, fires and flooding are all included. Electrical failures also fall under this umbrella, particularly if a power outage leaves your business without power for a sustained period of time. Human errors can also lead to some of these disasters, and a well thought out DR plan includes what ifs for all of these scenarios. Disaster recovery needs to be well thought out and practical, as it acts as a safety net for your critical business functions and data. It also needs to be demonstrable. After all, what's the point of a disaster recovery plan if it only works on paper? Historically though, organisations have been priced out of delivering an adequate disaster recovery plan for their business. Businesses that couldn't afford an adequate disaster recovery plan had a number of options. One of which was to recreate all of their hardware, keep it backed up regularly, but leave it on in standby in case of an emergency. Another option was to restore from older, much more temperamental backup media. Both of these methods spark a number of questions. Where is the infrastructure physically located? How often is that infrastructure checked for viability? And how long will it take you to recover from a critical business outage? An organisation we previously worked with produced reels and reels of data on tape, which is likely to be hideously out of date, unrecoverable in the event of a disaster, and that's all assuming you don't damage it first. However, it's not all doom and gloom. Cloud technology has revolutionised the way we deliver a disaster recovery plan, making it more accessible to businesses of all sizes and driving down the entry-level cost. So when it comes to the cloud, there are two key enablers. The first is virtual servers. Virtual servers can be connected to from anywhere in the world, which is great if you no longer have an office space to work out of, and it also enables you to back up the data to those virtual servers in the event of a disaster. The second key thing to note is that data can and absolutely should be hosted off-site in a data center. Data centers are a robust environment providing state-of-the-art facilities and both physical and virtual security. It's often also true that providing a cloud-based backup solution is much cheaper than the entry point for on-premise. In fact, recent research shows that for every £1 you spend mitigating against a disaster scenario, you save £4 in the wider community with response and recovery costs. You could also save hundreds of thousands of pounds that your business would otherwise have had to have spent to recover from the disaster, as well as any lost earnings. It can be bleak, but it's very important for you to understand what's at stake so that you can get your DR plan spot on. The key takeaway here is that modern day disaster recovery plans consume fewer resources, both on-premise servers and hardware, and that they utilise these resources more effectively. Speaking of working efficiently, disaster recovery plans can now be outsourced at a fraction of the cost, leaving your critical business functions, data and services to be managed by specialists. After all, disaster recovery forms part of your business continuity procedure, so approaching this wider strategy with a group of experts behind you can only stand you in good stead. So disaster recovery is there to help you in the event of an emergency. We've seen first-hand businesses that have recovered to business as usual within just a few short hours, where previously would have taken them months of hard work and extended cost. However, it's all down to how much a business is willing to commit in order to make sure that the right safety net is in place in the event that you need it. Well, that's it from me, folks. Thanks very much for watching the video, and we'll see you again on Ask the Expert.